Welcome everyone to another Oasis and AvidXchange webinar. I'll be your host today, Aaron Rosenberg, Senior Vice President and Partner at Oasis Solutions. And today's topic is to automate before it's too late. Might end up like this fellow here. So wanted to take a couple minutes to talk to you all about today's presentation, as well as go over some logistics on how we're going to run things today. We do want to make sure that everyone has the ability to ask us questions. We'll hold questions until the end of the presentation, but you can use that here on the GoToWebinar screen to put questions in, and then Hannah Horning, who's going to be with us today from AvidXchange, is going to be running a quick poll as well. So we'd really appreciate your feedback after today's webinar and want to get to your questions in a timely fashion. If you have to bounce early today, we understand everybody's really busy, or if you need to share this recording with someone else at your organization, we will send out an email with a link to the presentation and the recording tomorrow. So feel free to reach out to us if you do not receive that link, but it should be automatically sent to you, your inbox, by tomorrow. Again, I'm Aaron Rosenberg. I'm a partner here at Oasis Solutions, and just like we partner with our customers at Oasis to help them find the best technology in the marketplace today to automate their business processes, we keep abreast of the marketplace for all of those software partnerships that we take so seriously. And we're very happy to have the partnership that we do with AvidXchange and to tell you more about that today. I want to start off by telling you a little bit more about us, just in case you need a refresher or you're new to Oasis Solutions. We've been in this market for 26 years. So since 1991, we've been helping businesses find and select and implement the right technology to run their business process. We're headquartered here in Louisville, Kentucky, where I am today. We have offices in Lexington and Nashville, and we service clients around the United States. So we have right now over 700 clients in over 35 states around the US. And our mantra is to focus on the people and processes behind the technology. So great technology like AvidXchange and Sage and NetSuite and some of the other products that we're so happy to carry work well, but it's all about what's between the chair and the keyboard. And we also believe that who you buy from is also as important or more important than what you buy. So great technology is out there to be utilized to help boost efficiencies with people and process in your organization. And that's where we can lend our valuable expertise to allow you to do that. Some of my teammates are ex-CFOs, controllers, CPAs, and people that have worked in professional organizations like yours, have been on the other side of the implementation table and understand what it takes to really leverage the technology that we're going to be recommending today, like AvidXchange. We have over 250 plus years of combined experience across those project managers. And as we continue to grow and look at these opportunities to partner with the best solutions in the marketplace today, we turn to people like Mike Johnson, Channel Sales Manager at AvidXchange, to talk about those solutions like AvidXchange to our clients. So with that, Mike, I'll let you take it over, and please let us know if you have any questions there at the end of the webinar and take the poll. We're very happy to have you take a time out of your busy schedule to join us today.
Well, thank you, Aaron. I do appreciate the introduction, and it's always a great opportunity for us to work with Oasis and present new concepts and ideas. Ironic, though, this is not a new concept or idea. This is a technology that's been around for 17 years, and we're talking specifically about automating the AP process. We're going to get into a little bit of definition. We'll talk a little bit about why the topic of it's not too late, and also talk about some of the benefits of automating the AP process. We here at AvidXchange are based out of Charlotte, North Carolina. We've been in this space, as I mentioned, for 17 years. We're a SaaS model, which in English translation means software as a service. Our clients leverage our software. We provide a high level of service behind that software to make sure they're successful with it. Our goal is to increase visibilities, add efficiencies that may not be inherent in what we all knew and still know, the paper-based process around the accounts payable process. So specifically, we here at AvidXchange address the AP space. We've got over 6,000 clients. We work with over 450,000 vendors. We believe our technology is kind of the glue between our clients on receiving the invoices from the vendors, automating the workflow approval, and facilitating payments out to that vendor. We have 5 modules around AP automation, and we'd love an opportunity after this, if you're interested in learning a little bit more about our technology, perhaps taking a deeper dive, spending some time with you to look at it. When we came up with the topic, it's not too late. We're really talking about the calendar. You think today's the 16th of November. We're not that far away. It's a week away from Thanksgiving, and before we know it, it'll be in 2018. So we here, based on our experience, have often found that this is a time of year where people are looking at budget, looking at improving processes going into a new year. If your calendar year and your fiscal year are aligned with January, that's awesome time. So there still is time to evaluate, reach agreement, and start planning the implementation process, because we can do this in as little as 45 days, and we have a guarantee around that. So we bring a high degree of professional services to Oasis clients to help them automate the AP process. But let's start with what the process is. I've had an opportunity. The reason I get to ask to speak on these often is that I've got a mixed bag of experience. I've run businesses. I've worked for Fortune 500 companies. I've worked for startups. I've worked in technology, equipment sales, a lot of background experience. And I'm very intimately familiar with what you folks are doing on the phone that are managing the finance part of the business, because I had that role as a general manager. So I went direct to check, open and close the books quarter a year for a period of time. So a great understanding of what you may be experiencing day to day, but we have to start first with the definition. So when starting with the definition, it's always good to look at the people's processes. So this is one of our grounding kind of foundational slides when we talk to folks out there when they raise their hand and say, hey, I'm interested in learning a little bit more about accounts payable automation, because I say learning more. We believe this is a journey. Nobody wakes up on Monday and says, hey, let me automate my AP process, not unless they're on fire, right? There's always got to be a crisis. So what we're finding is that people are out evaluating solutions, looking at improving some of the processes in their financial operations. This is one of those that's still lagging behind. There are roughly over 350,000 small to mid-sized businesses that have yet to automate. And that's the marketplace we focus on. We work with companies that are in the property, real estate, high tech, low tech, nonprofit, for-profit, manufacturing, you name it, higher education, healthcare. We've got a lot of clients that have this common problem. This is their process. An invoice comes in, somebody's opening the mail. In many cases, we've seen the shift to email for vendors. You probably are familiar with that. So folks are either, opening up physical mail or downloading emails, and more often than not, we find they print them out because they need a physical copy. They may be working with a purchase order that drives the process with a vendor and starts that purchase that results in the invoice. They're routing that out. If they're in one office, that's great. It's called the healthcare program. It's a fitness program where people get up, walk around, hand out invoices to folks that need to approve them. If you're dispersed, you have locations and entities around the country, you're typically overnighting, emailing attachments. You may have your approver's code, but I fairly find that it's not what finance wants folks to do. They want to simply approve those, and that could take many shapes and forms, right? It could be a stamp, a signature, a confirmation responding on an email saying, hey, it's good to pay, I approve this. And then it, in some miraculous format, in many cases that's the truth, is that it finds its way back to finance, where they do their final review and approval, coding, data entry to the accounting system of choice. We work with well over 120 accounting systems. Sage and NetSuite are some of our favorites. Once it's in the accounting system, folks, as you're painfully aware, say, hey, let's pay some of these bills or invoices. So in today's world, even though it's 2017, it still takes the form of, many cases, paper checks. About all B2B payments, talking business-to-business payments today, still are done on a physical paper check. It's kind of ironic when you think about it, because if you're like me as a consumer, my checkbook's in a kitchen drawer somewhere. I never get to use it. I rarely use it. I had a guy come over and do some work on a furnace and yelled up, hey, I'm done. I said, send me a bill. He said, no, write me a check. And I was like, wow, where's that check? Where's that checkbook? But yet we come to work and we do the complete opposite. As consumers, we go online, we pay bills, we may have automatic withdrawals for things like cell phone, fuel bills, things of that nature. But in work, we do the complete opposite. So paper checks are sent out. You may be using other forms of payment to your vendors. Maybe you've tried the ACH model. When I say tried, it still requires a lot of work by finance to onboard the vendor, get them set up, verify, and keep that information up to date. And you're still creating the payment file. So once that's all done, what usually we see is it's filed. And filed is what we traditionally think of it. It's in a filing cabinet. So research requires somebody to go into a filing cabinet, whether it's on the same floor, downstairs, in the basement, offsite. Whether you're being audited or you get a vendor inquiry regarding a payment, you're back to the filing cabinets. When people apply and when they think they're ready to make this move, they often say, hey, what steps are removed from the process? So when you automate your AP process with AvidXchange, everything you see here grayed out with an X over it is replaced by our software and service. So no more need to receive the invoice, no more opening the mail, downloading emails, printing things, attaching POs, routing them out to people, whether it's email or sneakernet, walking around the office. Coding it's your germane, it's your process. We do bring some technology to help automate it. Our goal there is to reduce some of the data entry. Approvals are automated, workflows are automated. The work itself creates its own unique audit trail, which is date and time stamped. We pass that information through connectors, so whether they're APIs or file-based connectors into the accounting system, eliminating the need for data entry. Once it's in the accounting system, hey, you can utilizing your AvidXchange payment solution, you can simply create your payment file in your accounting system, and then you would pass that to your AvidPay solution, and we would facilitate payments to your vendors. It's a huge opportunity for us to have a serious impact on cost, processing times. We provide 100% fraud protection, take over the positive pay responsibility your banks may have tagged you with today. So there are lots of efficiencies there and cost savings. And then we facilitate payments to the vendor, and this is key to our process and our success with this, the way they want to be paid. Because let's face it, even though it's 2017, and I mentioned in the slide before, there's still a need for checks. We still find that vendors require a check. We can't get rid of it. So we offer 3 forms of payment. The first is a paper check. The other are electronic payment options that are available. A very fascinating story, very interested in, there's a lot of interest in the market, so much so that earlier this year, MasterCard invested over $300 million with some other venture capital investment firms in AvidXchange technology. And the last 2 years alone, we've taken in over $500 million from folks. Key Bankers won, Fifth Third Bank, and Bain Capital started this all back in 2015. Why? Because they're fascinated with this process in our solution to help automate AP, and particularly in the payment world, reduce the exposure to fraud, the risk that's associated with it. And then because we start electronically, things are stored electronically. So what that means to you is that you have access to this 24/7. So if you have a phone, you have a tablet, you have a laptop, you have access to critical AP data. It's all password, login protected, email and password. And so you can research, at a moment's notice. You also can be involved in the workflow and approval and not have to be in the office. Because I've learned in my career that a lot of times, if you're a general manager like I was, I had to come back to the office to approve invoices and payments. I don't have to do that. I could be out with customers, out growing the business, and not have to come back late at night and then process that. But that's the before and after. So before, lots of touches, lots of processing, lots of handling, equates to time, energy, and effort. Here, these things are removed. So just FYI, kind of a food for thought here. Is this all equates to time. That's the real benefit of AP automation. It's going to give back you and your team and your staff significant amounts of time when you're not having to be involved in all this. So the key answer, key question that we often ask our clients, what are you going to do with that additional time that you have? Could it be spent on better financial analysis? Would it be on improving processes, working with vendors, not being buried in the paper and the details? Because I've learned in my career that AP and particularly finance, it's fraught with exceptions, right? Every day starts with the best intentions. You grab a cup of coffee, you walk into the office, and then it just goes crazy because it's all exception based. Fires, got to put them out. Things are happening in our businesses that require our attention. So there are lots of benefits to AP automation, but we were thinking together with Aaron and team. We were talking about, hey, let's really focus on 4. Let's talk about 4 benefits of AP automation that we often see. We got the ilities, the scalability and agility. We'll talk a little bit about that. Let's talk about approvals. Anytime, anywhere. I mentioned that it's mobile. How convenient to be on a phone and be able to process, approve invoices, process payments, improve year-end and month-end closings. Hey, we're there. If your fiscal year is coming up soon, you know what I'm talking about. It's time to get ready. If you haven't, you may be behind the 8 ball. And dealing with exceptions doesn't give you that time and planning and the stages and the steps to take care of it. And then number 4 was easier audits. So these are 4. There are plenty more out there, but these are 4 we thought we'd focus on today. So let's start with scalability and agility. So let's talk about the time that people spend. do you have any sense about the or feelings about the time that an AP staff member may spend on manual tasks every day? Talking opening mail, data entry, filing, going to the filing cabinets. Some studies reveal that it's about 4 hours a day. That's a significant part of your day, right? If you're doing 8 hours, half of it is spent in touching paper, moving it around, and processing it. So it really is about the time and the benefit of getting rid of that time that's spent on this manual process. You get back. Could you imagine you have 4 hours back in your day? What you could do for the company? Because this is the U.S. We're all about growing our businesses. If we're not growing, we're dying. So if I had all this extra time, my team had all this extra time, how could we leverage that? Because here in the U.S., it's always been a theme for the last 20 years I've been in business is that we're all doing more with less. So we're all wearing multiple hats, multiple responsibilities. I talked to a person just last week. She's not only the AP person, but she's a payroll person. So she's focused in two areas of the business. So we're all juggling a lot of things. So, and most critically, is people wonder, hey, and talking particularly to people that are deeply involved in the process themselves, is this my job? Are you talking about eliminating my job? No, what we're talking about is not eliminating. It allows AP team members to work smarter and more strategic. What could you be doing outside of these processes that could be helping to grow the business? We're getting to an age here. I raised two of them. I got two millennials that are in the workforce now, which means I'm getting nearer and closer to retirement. So we're facing a certain, I guess, stress here in the workplace because we're not having as many children that are coming into the workforce. So we're all going to be taking on more responsibility and working longer, working harder, working a lot more hours. So anything we can do to leverage technology to give us back some of the time is just going to be advantageous to our businesses. So it's not working harder, it's working smarter, which is really a theme in business I run into often. So let's talk about approvals. We talk about anytime, anywhere. We're in the middle of the holiday season. I've had two demos today, and one of them got postponed because the check printer broke. So it's all about convenience and time. It's that season. Where people are really stressed. We're coming up on Thanksgiving, and then we got the holidays at Christmas coming up too. So it's going to mean less work, less time. If we're to map this out in our calendars, we're really talking about only a few more weeks, several weeks before the year's officially over. So the holidays are right around the corner. People will be traveling. How do you get these decisions and processes down? It's by having mobile access. If you've got millennials, like I mentioned, I do, I got two of them. If you're looking at, they live on their phones. Everything they do on their phone. They don't converse anymore. They don't call mom to say how they're doing. They text her. Mom likes that because they can text her at any time, any day, and she's not waiting for that Sunday phone call to see how her boys are doing. But she's interacting with them on a daily basis. It's such a frenetic pace, though. If they're not texting her on a given day, she wonders what's going on. So we have anytime, anywhere access. It's sometimes not that good. So, but if we look at the process, when you look at being able to log in, you see the invoice in hand. We're going to do a quick demo, by the way, but this gives you kind of a snapshot of what our technology looks like. So people are receiving alerts saying they've got invoices waiting for them. We scan and upload the invoice as a PDF as it's been received. People can verify it, whether it's 1 or 100 pages. They can scroll through it. And we here at Avid in our scanning process are verifying the invoice number, the totals, things of that nature. What you're seeing here is the workflow approval step. We work in a sequence, step 1, step 2, step 3. We rule and role based. So the rule is typically, what you can do. What that means to you as an administrator of your AP portal is you're locking down control. People only see what you want them to see and only do what you allow them to do. So if you just want them to review and approve, that's all they can do. So we can actually set thresholds, dollar thresholds. So in this case, you're looking at Ross Turner as the CFO, would only receive invoices that are over $5,000 because working with businesses, I've heard this many times. The boss only needs to see those big invoices. We don't want to fill up his email with all these other invoices. So we can set those kind of filters and criteria. So it's all about convenience, access, anytime, anywhere. And we scale to mobile devices. You don't have to download an app from the iTunes store or the Android store to really access this data. You could receive alerts on your phone today while you're participating in this webinar and be able to approve code and route invoices about your organization automatically. So let's talk about reducing supplier and improving the year-end and month-end closing. What we do here is we've created, over the last couple of years, we introduced this last year, was a supplier portal. We call it Cash Flow Manager, because we're thinking in terms of what services we here at AvidXchange could help the vendors and reduce the amount of service calls they make to you, the client. So this Cash Flow Manager portal is free. Vendors can sign up. It gives them the ability to manage their receivables so they can see what they've received as far as payments from you as a client. They can show what's overdue. They can actually download detailed remittance data or reports that they need. They can see outstanding invoices. It's a collaborative tool that keeps them off the phone, off your email asking questions. It's another service component that we've delivered to our clients. So the goal here is, again, we're talking about saving you time, and this is helping our clients save dramatic amounts of time by providing the vendor the services that they would normally call you on. So let's talk a little bit about the benefits of automated payments to your suppliers. So when we're talking about what we do here at AvidXchange on the end of the AP process is to facilitate payments to the supplier, we want to take a look at your process. So our goal here in implementing our solution for our clients is to do a couple things. One is it's a change, but we want to keep it a low change solution. So that what that means is we're going to mirror your process. So we're going to look at your workflows, your people, the time and energy that's spent on this, and we're going to mirror that and maybe even enhance and bring some best practices based on our 17 years of rolling the solution out to our clients. So in our payment model, we can have approval workflows. A lot of the time I talk to companies that say, hey, the boss always wants to see the checks at the end of the day, wants to get that final review and to make sure that payments are going out. So we can implement an approval workflow that really helps you deploy the payments as you want to do. So, and it gives you that bi-directional capabilities. So you can actually do in-house payments through your accounting system, or leverage our network to facilitate payments to your vendor. The advantages on the network is going to save you time and money because we're going to eliminate the cost of printing checks. But we realize that the reality is what's going on is that vendors will sometimes call and say, hey, I need a check today, or be standing at your desk. So it gives you that flexibility to fulfill the service requirement on behalf of your vendor by printing in-house or leveraging your AvidPay solution. And the three options I mentioned earlier, we have the paper check. Still 50% of all B2B payments are in that paper check. So we'll print paper checks, mail them out. We'll actually follow up on those checks. We'll track them to deposit. It's a nice thing. It's a lovely word that you in finance know all too familiar with this word, escheatment. So we mitigate the risk of escheatment by tracking payments to deposit. The other option we offer is a virtual card. The virtual card is to the MasterCard network. And it really is relying on the vendor's ability to already be established with MasterCard and be receptive to using it. And then we have the Avid Direct Pay. And the Avid Direct Pay is really an enhanced ACH model. And what I mean by that is we'll do all the onboarding, the verification, the transmittal funds, the remittance reporting back out to the vendor. All those three services you there come with a phone number and an email for your vendors. If they've got initial queries or questions regarding payments, they'll call AvidXchange. And all of these payments are tracked to deposit. Electronic payments like the virtual card and the Avid Direct Pay are self-terminating. They turn off after 10 days if the vendor doesn't act on them. And 21 days later, if the check's not been cashed, we're back on the phone. So we're mitigating that risk of escheatment by tracking payments all the way to deposit. And we're communicating with you, so you have insight into what's going on in that payment process. It's not like you just hand it off to us and you're done. We're actually tying that loop back up into your accounting system. So it mirrors your current process. So we're capturing payment data from your Sage or your NetSuite system as you do today, check number, banking information, and you have a dashboard that shows you exactly what's going on with the payment to the vendor, down to the invoices that are being paid in that payment, and how the vendor is being paid. Kind of cool, right? We're not printing, signing, stuffing checks and mailing them out. We're just sending the file to your AvidPay solution. So the benefits of the automated payments to your vendors are they're going to receive payments faster, and it's all about cash flow, right? For ourselves included, because in many cases we're not only a customer, but we are the vendor. It's all about cash flow. So in an electronic payment world, we're going to transmit payments overnight. So whether it's the ACH or the virtual card, once you send us that payment process, we're creating that one-time only virtual card payment to the vendor, supplying the remittance detail, and they're getting that money in their bank account the next day. So it's really about helping them improve their cash flow. So they get immediate payments. It's not a question of when that check is coming in. And as I experienced my business, that all too familiar call, hey, I sent you an invoice. When are you going to pay that invoice? So that always was a lot of fun to answer that one. So included with that, helping them improve their cash flow, we're also going to wrap that up in a nice bow and present, give them the rich remittance detail that they're looking for on every payment. So they know exactly what invoices it reflects, and all the details that they're looking for, so they can reconcile the payment from you to their accounting system. So we're collaborating with them, and we're eliminating the check costs. So as mentioned, that sometimes in studies I was reading last year, a check may cost as high as $3 to $4 to print, depending on where you are. That's a significant cost of a document. If you're processing, 500 checks a month, just think of 300. It's costing you $1,500 a month just to pay your vendors. That's pretty expensive. So there are advantages to automating that process. And then, as I mentioned earlier, the vendor can stay informed on payment status through that cash flow manager portal. That's free for them. That's kind of cool, right? They could sign up and see information. So let's talk about audits. I don't think you can make an audit stressless. And I was speaking last month to I had 2 calls in a given day and I was asking people about their audit experience, and they shared some great stories. I mean, it may bring a smile to some of your faces when you think in terms of what do you do to your auditors when they come in. They're telling me that in their case, they give them the big white bin of death, they call it. They fill it up with all the invoices and all the vendor folders, and they just leave it in the conference room, and they let the vendor go through the scavenger hunt of finding the auditor go through the scavenger hunt of finding it. The other one was interesting, is they turn the heat down. So the auditor experienced a little discomfort. It's a little cold in here, so they want them in and out as quickly as possible. But if you're online and you're utilizing our technology, everything is stored in the cloud. So there's no more missing invoices. There's access to this data 24/7, including the image of the invoice. And because we don't work in a seat or site license, you're not charged by the user, you really control who has access. And that means you could actually have an auditor. You could provide them read-only access. We have searching and reporting capability that they could access, that could allow them remotely, not in your office, tying up a conference room and asking your people for help, but actually go in, log in, and create a report that not only includes the image of the invoice as it was received, but the header description, the coding section, all the history, which is when it came in, who touched it, how long it was in. So those auditors can access that information remotely and not tie up your conference room, which sometimes, as we all know, could be a 2 to 3 day process. So, and a lot of time and a lot of effort and a lot of angst and stress. So, this is a customer that we've been working with for quite a while, Humphrey Management. Sherry McGowan, I've met her a couple times, and when we asked her, what was the benefits? This is her quote: "When we automated, I didn't realize how beneficial it would be during audit season. I used to spend so much time going back and forth between filing cabinets to look for an invoice, but now I can pull up the bills without leaving my desk." Convenience, right? It's all about convenience, time, access to data. And so why not now? Why not automate your process? You still have some time here. It's the 16th of November. We still have time to do a quick review and see if this will work for you. We're a software as a service. We do that 45-day implementation guarantee. And just to give you a sense of what that looks like, it really, we have a kickoff call. Once we execute an agreement, we mobilize very quickly. We introduce you to your project team from AvidXchange. The 99% of our services come out of our Charlotte headquarters. You're working with project management teams, integration specialists. All are very familiar with the process. They get you in the kickoff call. You can see it's a 6-7 week process, 8 weeks where we're testing, we're going live, we're training, we're getting it configured. We do the setup of the portal, and then you go live. So it's a fairly quick process. And having been doing this for about 4 years, what I've experienced is that we do a lot of the heavy lifting. So we're not locking you down or locking you out for 8 weeks. You're going on about your day, and we just schedule an hour here, a couple hours here, and you have a formalized project plan. But we're collecting the data and building the portal, which is the heaviest part of the whole process, and then doing the training process, doing the training as we're going forward. So how's it all begin? So let's talk a little bit about how do we get invoices in. So typically these are the 3 ways that they get into AvidXchange. Email. If you've got an AP inbox, you just reroute it to AvidXchange, or during the implementation process, your project team will say, okay, let's pick an email address that will resonate with your vendors, that they'll say, hey, that makes sense, that I know who that company is. The other one is paper. You know, it's ironic. You think in 2017, still vendors want to mail those. They haven't figured out they can save themselves a few pennies by not having to print stuff and mail an invoice to you. They can email it to you. So we can procure a lockbox for you. And depending on, we have East and West Coast processing centers to cover the country. So we can receive the mail, or U-Scan, which is, hey, I walk in to say, hey, Mike, here's my invoice. I just bought this. How do you get it in your AP solution? You just drop it on a copier or a printer bed, create a PDF, and drop it in. We'll receive it. We'll extract it. Extracting is really looking at the header data. We want to verify it. Want to make sure that it's accurate. Our goal is to provide you 99% accuracy on invoices, because we don't want to have you have to fix them. What if we haven't provided any value to you if we're just scanning and dropping it to you? And OCR really still has some huge issues with invoices because they're not a standard form. They're not all 8.5 by 11 with all the information in the same field. So we provide a little bit of service here at the analyze stage to verify that information. We're also looking for things to save you time. We're looking for duplicate invoices, because you probably have had this where the vendor not only mails the invoice, but they email it. So now you've got two. We're also looking for things on what we call exceptions, like invoices from vendors that haven't been set up in your accounting system. Because we are not the accounting system, we're your AP automation solution, but we want to alert you to that kind of issue, so you can manage it yourself. And then we launch the workflow, and the workflow is simply a alert out to your folks. Very often it's the AP person, because they are the traffic person today, who's been receiving the invoice via email or mail. And so they'll get a notification via email saying they've got work, and they can schedule those. So we collaborate with your vendors 2 weeks before you go live, saying, hey, we've automated our AP process with AvidXchange. If you're going to email them, here's our new email address. Or if you've got an AP inbox, just reroute it to us. Or if you're going to mail them, here's our new PO box. So let's take a quick look at the technology. We're going to do a brief demo just to give you a sense of what this all looks like. So this would be your portal. So I'm going to log in. We usually log in as Marie Cannon, because Marie Cannon is one of our favorite roles. She's the AP person. We build it and brand it for you in those 45 days. So this is a sense of what Marie's work is going to be looking like, her work day. So she's received notification that she has invoices waiting for her. She's got 21 here. So this is her invoices. She could scroll through. If these are all reoccurring invoices and she doesn't need to do anything to them, she can just do a batch approval and be done. But say she wants to log on to an invoice, she wants to take a look at it. So what we do in the scanning process I mentioned earlier is we're going to scan the invoice. So whether it's 1 or 100 pages, simply scroll through it. She could see what it looks like. It's a PDF, so if she really needs a physical copy for whatever reason, we're not denied access to it, so we can download it, print it. During the capture process, we're verifying things like the invoice number, the dates, the totals. We're building the association for the workflow that's going to trigger, hey, this HD supplier or vendor is associated to this entity in our organization or department or location. And in that location, there could be their own little workflow. If you're working with a PO process, we could expose the hyperlink or reference to that PO from your system, whether it's your accounting system or a third party. We could explore that, and so that you could have reference to it. During the coding process, we can automate some of the coding process. We have 4 ways to code in Avid. You can do a simple manual coding by just simply going to the coding section and start typing in an alpha. It'll pull up all the chart of accounts that are associated with that. So I can pick the account I want. I can put a description over here. I could do a distribution, which is add a line or multiple lines. If I want to distribute this by dollar percentage amount, I can do that to split that out. If I want to automate this process, save myself a few keystrokes, you probably, folks that are on the phone have this as well. These are reoccurring invoices, utility payments, service bills, things that you normally get every month. They're going to have the same code. If I turn that functionality on inside my Avid portal, the next time that invoice comes in, it'll be presented already coded. I can always override it and edit it, but the advantage there is I'm not doing any data entry. One of our clients, he's a CFO for an entertainment company, and he said that this is saving his staff about 30% of the time because they have a lot of recurring invoices. The other is if you've got these previously used, meaning I've got this distribution that I need to set up, I'm going to distribute this invoice over across different appointments and different people. We can simply have that information sent to them. So this is a quick view of the portal. We wanted to just give you a quick view of looking at it. We have the comments section, the history tab, but we encourage you, if you're really looking at AP automation, give us a shout. We'd love to work with Aaron and team and get you on the webinar. So let's go back to our presentation today and wrap it up. So I want to bring in, just get this set up for you. So just for showing up today or participating, if you have questions, we're going to send you this ebook. You'll receive a copy of it, Automate Before It's Too Late. What we want to do today is we're going to invite Hannah back on the line. She works with me here at AvidXchange in marketing. So Hannah, we're going to run a poll. Going to ask the audience a question.
Sure. So I'm launching the poll now. Should be up on your screen. The question is, what's your next step? So this really just tells us how you want to be followed up with. So just give us a little more information, and then we'll coordinate that with Oasis Solutions.
And as we're waiting, just a reminder, as Aaron pointed out, this is being recorded. So just for registering to the webinar, if you had to drop off for any reason, I know I went a little over our time today. My apologies. I get too excited about AP automation. It's kind of a silly thing, but you'll receive a recording of this along with the ebook. So do we want to open it up now? Hannah, how's the poll looking as far as a response?
We're at about 78%, so let's just keep it open a little while longer to make sure to capture everyone's responses.
Sure. Do we want to move on to the question Q&A session?
Sure.
All right. I have to know because I have to hit the next button. So let's ask the experts. So if you have questions that came up during our presentation, anything you're curious about the AP automation process, now would be the time to put them into the little chat box that we've got here on the GoToWebinar. And Aaron, I heard you chuckling in the background. So you're back online with us?
Yeah, thanks so much, Mike, for going through the webinar today, and Hannah for opening up the poll, and I'm here as well to help. We also have Jody Patterson listening in. Some of our clients work with Jody on helping them continuously improve their Sage 100 Mass 90 application. So we will funnel any interest in setting up direct conversation with AvidXchange through myself or Jody. And it looks like we have a question here about how do we get the ability to set up workflows, and maybe some more detail on a specific approvers for different types of invoices. So how, Mike, can customers that maybe have a more complex process or have different approvers for different departments, is that all available to be configured in AvidXchange?
That's a very good question, Aaron. Yes, it is. During the implementation process, we'll work with the team to map out standard workflows, but at any point, based on the uniqueness of your company and the way you operate, you have the ability to modify those workflows by creating an ad hoc workflow or create a unique workflow. So we have examples of workflows that folks have created, like for maintenance, for tax workflows, for payroll workflows, things that you would create and be able to adapt and leverage the technology to configure it to work with your specific workflows. We work in that role in the rule. So the role is typically your job, and the rule is what governs you, but you can map workflows. That role is typically, we've done, I think we've got 50 different roles in finance. So administering the portal, changing those things, you're not dependent on AvidXchange, so you're not having to call us and ask us. We train the trainer. We'll support you, have unlimited phone support, but we believe in teaching you the tools so you can leverage it to the best capabilities that you have, your desire that you have with your system. So the answer is yes, and we'd be happy to drill down on that in a further demo or detailed conversation about what makes you unique and how we could help.
Great, thanks, Mike. And we got one more question here before we jump off. So someone asked about document management solutions, and just how is AvidXchange different from maybe a document management app or software?
Sure. Again, that's a great question. The last 4 webinars I've done in this month, it's always come up. So this is not a doc management solution. It's really specific to accounts payable. The real big differentiator is the workflow. The question I was asked before this, because it's not often that in the doc management solution you can find the ability to configure, manage modify workflows that people would often do within AP invoices are not inherent in the doc management system. So we found customers who have tried the doc management solution as a path to AP automation, and had then raised their hand month or year into it and said, wait, this isn't cutting it for the finance team. It's great for our HR documents, our technical documents, our benefits documents, things of that nature. But from an AP process standpoint, we're a little bit more unique than the doc management applications or software can handle. So a little bit different.
Great, thanks, Mike. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So that's all the questions it looks like we had today, and we've got now everybody weighed in on the poll. So
hey, Aaron, we have one more question that came in through the question page. It says, does this work with Sage Intact?
Yeah, it sure does.
It does. Yeah. So
yeah,
that's about the simplest answer we could give, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've hardly come across any instance of an ERP system or back office system that doesn't work with. We have clients that use us for a variety of different systems, some that don't use Oasis for general ledger but are on things like Sage Timberline, QuickBooks, etc. So we can definitely help.
All right, that was the last question. I think we're good to close down the session.
Great. Well, thank you, Aaron. We do appreciate the time. Hannah and I, as always, enjoy working with the team at Oasis. It's been great to spend some time with your clients, and we've enjoyed it. So I wish everybody on the phone a happy holiday season. It's not too late. If you're interested in learning a little bit more about AP automation, reach out to Aaron and team, and they'll connect us with you, and we'll start the process from there. So have a great holiday, everybody.
Thanks so much, Mike and Hannah and team and everyone that attended. We appreciate that, and we'll talk to them soon.